Little Wednesday night update on the weather situation that is upcoming for central Alabama as well as North Alabama and the surrounding areas. We've had some huge storms out to our west on Wednesday evening, and then some huge ones down into parts of Florida too. Just gargantuan hail in both places. But what's going on in Texas is of paramount importance to what happens around Alabama and Mississippi and Georgia during the day on Thursday. And look at this complex of storms out here just before 10 o'clock this evening. We've had big storms come through Waco, Stephenville, Texas, baseball-size hail. And then look what's going on across central and south Alabama. New showers are developing down here north of Hattiesburg, close to Meridian. And all this is going to be tracking up toward the northeast overnight. So be prepared. There will be some scattered showers and thunderstorms on the way for us. Well, here's the setup. This is what's going on around the southeastern states today. There's an upper air trough located right here. The exit region of that is where we have all this uplift over Texas, and that's where some of the most intense storms are. What's happened in Florida has been a combination of some low freezing levels below 10,000 feet and then the sea breeze. Two air masses colliding. So two different areas of disturbed weather, but it's the one that's out here to the west that has our attention here across Alabama. What you see in front of you right here is a sounding forecast for Columbus, Mississippi, coming up on Thursday evening. Now, these can be a little hard to read if you're not used to them, but the thing to note here is that blue line. That's called the wet bulb zero. This is the temperature. This one is the dew point, and the point which those two will come together once a thunderstorm develops is wet bulb zero. It crosses 0 degrees way down below 700 millibars in height, which means the freezing level over eastern Mississippi on Thursday evening is probably going to be at 8,500 to 9,000 feet. That's extremely low, and when we start looking at thunderstorms like these coming across the southeast, we start beginning to be concerned that there could be some large hail from them. Not so much what's going on here early Thursday morning. This is being limited by what's going on to the south. So typically, whenever we get storms that develop down here in this region, it cuts off activity here across central Mississippi, central Alabama. And by cut off, I don't mean it just completely gets rid of the rain, but we end up with showers instead of big, heavy thunderstorms. And I think that's what you're seeing right there based on the guidance. Here's the fuel for those storms. Look at that. 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, it's just really starting to pipe north here over southeast Alabama. We're using up the fuel over south Mississippi and southwest Alabama from the storms that are in progress. But the air here around the northern part of the state is still pretty cool, and it's still pretty stable over north Mississippi. What's going to happen here is this cluster of storms has to get out of the way, and I think it will. It should do that by midday, and that may open us up, as you can see right here, for a few isolated showers in the afternoon. So what kind of fuel do we have here? Well, not a lot, until you start looking back here to the west over in Mississippi. Now that is some high Cape. A few of the values here are likely in the neighborhood of 2,500 to 3,000 joules per kilogram, which is high over Jackson and Kosciuszko and Philadelphia, up towards Starkville and Columbus. So it's that zone where we are concerned about storms that could develop in the afternoon. And here's the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. Think about this in two ways. This is the morning stuff. Up here is where we would have some afternoon stuff. And then just sort of in between, there may be some storms that make it as far east as Anniston and Gadsden and Fort Payne and Scottsboro. It's most likely going to be eastern Mississippi and western Alabama come Thursday evening. And here's why. Watch this. First of all, remember we have this big area of humid air that's got a lot of instability, and there's nothing blocking it to the south, so there's nothing interrupting it. We're not necessarily rain-cooled, so here go the storms. After 5 p.m. tomorrow, individual, isolated, very intense thunderstorms could develop over Mississippi. And by very intense, I mean some that could have some very big hail, maybe bigger than $50, maybe bigger than a golf ball. But you can see they're not widespread at all. What about the strength of them? When we look at the updraft, you don't see a tremendous amount of what we would term updraft helicity here, but there's some. And once it starts to show up on this map here, we're looking at enough that some of these storms could be rotating. I don't expect tornadoes to be a significant issue, but a rotating thunderstorm in its own right typically is just more powerful because it's able to maintain itself better. That updraft is healthier when it's rotating, and they tend to last a little bit longer. So watch this. Let's move forward in time. And here come a few heavy thunderstorms into the shoals, eastern Mississippi, west Alabama. Let's check the fuel. Still pretty good over here in East Mississippi, Marion County to Cullman County, Morgan County, Limestone County, Madison County. Not quite as healthy over here to the east into Clay County and Randolph County and Chambers County. So the farther east we go, the less likely it is that these storms are going to be able to really pack much of a punch. And look at that. Again, you've got one really strong updraft there. You've got a pretty strong updraft here over northern Greene County. So mark the time here. It's 9:42 p.m. Let's see how well the herd does. Do we end up with a severe storm in this area and one or two severe storms in this area between, say, 9 p.m. and midnight on Thursday night into Friday morning? We'll watch it. We'll come back and talk about it. But those are the two spots where we could have some trouble, mainly from hail or some strong gusty winds. And watch what happens overnight. Those storms just fizzle out, and we're not left with a whole bunch of anything other than just some rain up across northeastern Alabama, northwest Georgia, and then up into Tennessee beyond that. Now look what's happening back here to the west. This is 6 a.m. Friday. We've started to get drier air in this area that's now beginning to move south. So I think that's going to cut down on any risk of significant thunderstorms from, say, Friday morning until Friday evening. Something else I wanted to show you here. This is forecast precipitation from the GFS model over the next 7 days. Look at that. There are just some places down here in South Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, Florida, South Georgia, into the Carolinas that are just going to get rocked with rain and storm after storm after storm in coming days. The reason for that is we are switching to more of an El Nino pattern. This is the Southern Oscillation Index. I showed you this a couple of days ago, too. We had a little flip about 10 days ago, and now we've got another significant flip that has occurred between the 21st and the 25th. So you would likely expect here sometime in the first 5-6 days of the month of May that we're going to wind up with more stormy weather that's going to set up rain and thunderstorms that look at something like this right here, with all that heavy rain and stormy action over Georgia, South Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. And typically with an El Nino pattern, or maybe not necessarily an El Nino pattern, but a southern oscillation flip like that, you do get a lot of stormy weather, but it's going to be suppressed more to the south. So this makes sense that the Gulf Coast region is going to stay fairly stormy in coming days, whereas the rest of us probably not quite as significant, especially let's talk 7-day forecast. This is where we're going for the next few days. Thursday is our impact day in central Alabama because of the risk of a few severe thunderstorms. And I've listed it as coverage very isolated because I think we're dealing with a handful of storms, mainly on the western side of the state, between as early as noon and as late as 10 p.m. There still could be a few storms even overnight, but by the time we get into this area, they're just not quite as intense. Friday is a drier day. Northwest wind, 75 degrees. Saturday, it's not going to rain the whole day, and I want to make a point of that. Saturday is not a rain out for north and central Alabama, and Sunday is more of a lingering shower kind of day, and we'll be getting cooler. So we go to 77 on Saturday. There's 6 o'clock Saturday morning. Rain starts to spread in from the south. So if you're south of Montgomery, toward the Alabama Gulf Coast, northwest Florida, it does look a little bit rainy. And also there's a cold front in this area right here Saturday afternoon, so that's probably going to lead to a little bit more rain there. Sunday evening, that front is starting to move through, and we have a pretty good convergence of air masses, and that's why I think we'll see some showers, maybe a few thunderstorms Sunday. They linger around, yes. Does it rain all day? No, it doesn't. And then all that starts to move out of here on Monday. Monday of next week, we're in the 60s in Birmingham. That's probably more like low 60s up in Huntsville, maybe even some 50s up in Tennessee. 40s in the mornings. This very well could mean a little bit more blackberry winter for us. I don't think we have any frosts or freezes, but that's some pretty chilly mornings. And then look toward Wednesday of next week. We'll pull out beyond the next 5 to 7 days and go out 6 to 10 days in the future. The average high for Birmingham in early May is around 79. The average low is around 55. We're forecasting 77 and 50 next Wednesday. What it means when we're below normal is that we're literally just below those numbers, and that's where we'll be. So I think it's going to be cool into the first couple of days of May. We got to get through these showers and storms on Thursday and again Saturday and Sunday. I don't think it rains all day on any given day, but just do keep in mind that a storm could grow severe very, very quickly, and we will be here watching it for you.